Hey everybody, first I want to start off by saying sorry you have to look at my face. So I don't like taking my own picture, let alone video. But anyways, Tuesday is the election. Some of you may have already voted, casted your ballot. I encourage everybody, regardless who you're voting for, to show up in person or bring your ballot in person. The mail system is not the greatest. Having said that, wanted to talk real quick before I go to work, just about your options. So we both know it's Donald Trump, Joe Biden. There's good and bads for both. I'm not a fan of any politician. There's no perfect politician. And if you do the history of presidents, even going back to our founding fathers, there's never been one that's gotten everything right. I would encourage everybody to think about how it's affected you personally, past presidents and including today. Just from a financial perspective, there's less coming out of my paycheck, and from a freedom perspective, there's less government intrusion in the past 4 years. There's all kinds of shady things going on both sides, and no administration is without fault or without some kind of intrusion into our freedom of speech, especially our Second Amendment, which is very important, and so on and so forth. So despite Donald Trump's some of the things he's said, some of his tweets, some people take that very personally, and that was enough for them to possibly change their votes for him. I would have to say, if that's your deciding factor, probably doing it wrong. From a policy standpoint, 70 to 80%, he's gotten it on the side of American people. He's deregulated, cut costs, cut taxes, still a lot of spending. There hasn't been an administration in the past probably 30 years, 40 years, that hasn't not spent like a spoiled college kid with a credit card. That's a huge issue, regardless of Republican or Democrat. So, not to make this video too long, please consider the personal freedoms at stake. I am a Second Amendment supporter. Most of my friends on my friends list on Facebook probably know that from my annoying posts. But regardless of what you think about firearms, there's a lot happening in our country right now. There's a lot of violence in our country, and it's not due to an inanimate object that's without human control. There's a lot of polarized sides, both left and right. And there's a lot of threats of violence if certain elections don't go certain ways. I don't trust any politician who's willing to crack the door and start limiting certain freedoms. There are people who would gladly pass limitations to your freedom of speech, let alone your freedom to own a firearm. We've seen small examples of this, small attempts. There's been congressmen and senators, mostly on the left, few on the right, that who are fairly open or have said things in the past. Of course, they say they misspoke. Most of the time when they misspeak, it just means they let the truth out a little bit. Anyways, video's too long already. But please consider voting for the current representative who is less willing, I'll just put it that way, to manipulate your freedoms. Take more of your paycheck, even if it's for the quote-unquote greater good. That's a big phrase that people throw around, the greater good. Well, if we did everything for the greater good, according to politicians, 100% of our paycheck would go to them, and they would give us whatever they felt like giving us. So yes, I'm voting for Donald Trump. because he's going to take less of my paycheck. He's going to tax me less. He's going to tax companies less, who, anytime companies pay taxes, I will tell you right now that it sounds all well and good to, you know, quote unquote, punish the rich. Well, when you do that, those costs get passed on. Companies don't take the hit on the chin financially and then just say, oh, okay, I guess we got to pay more to the government. Those costs come down to you. So it may feel well and good to, you know, punish people who might have more than you. That's a whole nother video. But those costs will come down to us. Costs and increases in food, increases in things that we buy, our entertainment, and of course our paychecks and our health care. Everything's a mess right now, but what we don't need is a bigger government spending more money that we don't have. That's all for now. Hopefully I can make shorter videos. Appreciate your time. But please, regardless who you vote for, even if you're an independent, you vote for Jo Jorgensen, go for it. But please consider voting for somebody who's at least slightly small government, who's going to leave our paychecks alone and generally leave our freedoms alone. Appreciate your time. Talk to you later.